skin so gorgeous. We thank the life gorgeous. Thank the life gorgeous. I love the life gorgeous. Its torso is so tight.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Life Gorgeous. My name is Craig Kilborn. I share my magical life in hopes of improving your life. Today, a very special guest. Everyone knows I'm a Timberwolves fan. That's my team. I say it's America's team. One of the owners joins us, Mr. Marc Lore, an entrepreneur. He does a lot of different things, including owning the Timberwolves. We'll talk to him plus fan questions. It's going very, very well. Say hello to Mr. Marc Lore. Ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to have from my beloved Timberwolves, one of the owners, Mr. Marc Lore. Hello, sir.
Hello.
Thank you for being here. How do you?
Happy to be here.
How do you feel today? I want to tell the people we're recording on Halloween about around dinner time, late afternoon. We lost last night. It wasn't pretty.
Tough loss.
How do you handle those losses?
It's early in the season. I think you don't want to overcorrect. I think Chris Finch has got a solid game plan, and it's good. Just going to take some learning and some things to work through. I'm not concerned. This soon into the season,
That's good.
We're going to get a lot better.
I'm going to talk about the Wolves with you in a bit. I do want to say tonight, well, you're going to a extravagant Halloween costume party, wherever you are in Manhattan or wherever. I'll be rewatching the Spurs and the Wolves and sending notes to Pablo Prigioni. I'll be always trying to help the team. But before we really get into the Wolves, I'm dying to know about this thing called Wonder, because I remember you talking about it about a year ago at a group dinner, and I don't know where it was at that point, but I've heard that it's doing really well in New Jersey. But tell America and the world, because we're big in Paris and London, tell people what Wonder is.
Yeah, it's sort of the next generation or evolution of food delivery, but rather than have the food delivered from a local restaurant, which often doesn't travel well and gets cold. Imagine if the restaurant came to you and we cooked right outside your door at the same prices that you'd get on standard food delivery. So better quality, hotter food. We've got 22 different restaurant concepts now that are available via your app, just like on demand, as if you were ordering a car on demand or even food delivery. It'll tell you 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 20 minutes. The truck will pull up in front of your house. It's a Mercedes Sprinter van. And the person there will basically cook your food in a high-speed impingement oven and bring it piping hot to your door. Everything from a Bobby Flay steak all the way down to a DeFara pizza and everything in between.
That's amazing. I ate at Bobby Flay's in the 90s, Mesa Grill. I love that.
Yeah.
I have questions. So it's called Wonder, has nothing to do with Wonder Bread. Let's not be confused. If I wanted a peanut butter and jelly sandwich on Wonder Bread, I'm not getting it, right?
That's absolutely correct.
And why did you choose Wonder? Did anyone, because I think of Wonder Bread, but maybe I'm dating myself.
Yeah, you're dating yourself a little bit here. I think the younger generation, we're really catering to the younger generation that really puts a price and a high value on convenience. People don't want to cook anymore. They want the convenience of having to have more time to do other things rather than cook. And so I think that's why delivery is booming over the last 5 years, 10 years. And I think that trend will continue. So yeah, Wonder, it was just an easy to remember, easy to say, spell name. And I love the meaning, this element of surprise and excitement. And that's what we deliver.
I used to interview the great Merv Griffin. He was a friend of mine, and I hung out with him, and he was a very nice man and very successful. And I had him on the show, and I called Wheel of Fortune the glorified hangman. I said, it's glorified hangman, but I could say yours is a glorified taco truck, but it sounds different than that. And what I don't understand is how can the price not be much more. I mean, if you're going to,
No, it's actually
unless
less.
your plan is to go out of business in 6
Yeah,
months. I mean, like,
it's actually less than if you were to get it via food delivery. If you look at the price of the food plus all the delivery fees that are being charged by
yeah.
the delivery companies, it's cheaper. And the reason why it's cheaper, a couple reasons. One, because we don't have to go anywhere to pick up the food. The food is stocked on the Mercedes Sprinter van for the entire night. We're only going home to home. So the actual drive time is only 10 to 12 minutes. Whereas
Okay.
if you have to drive to the restaurant, wait, pick it up and drive back, it's going to take you over 20 minutes. So that cuts out a lot of labor. And the driver is the chef. So the chef drives. So there's only one person on that vehicle. And the speed at which the chef can cook is very similar to what it would be in a restaurant,
Right.
only faster, so the math actually works out quite well, and we're able to deliver a better experience.
So I heard, and I haven't done much research, but I just heard someone saying, hey, there's a wait list in New Jersey for this thing. Is that where you're rolling it out in New Jersey, or where is it happening now?
Yeah, it's in northern New Jersey, both Essex, Union County, Bergen County, and we just recently went into Westchester County, New York. And then we'll be coming into New York City early in the new year. So we're kind of in, the company's 4 years old, but it's only in the last year that really started to expand. And now it's going to really start to grow fast.
Is the goal then to go to other prominent cities and do this?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're starting in the tri-state area, New York, Connecticut,
right.
New Jersey, but
what about Los Angeles, where some of us live?
Yeah, eventually.
Eventually.
It's not going to be in the next year or two, but definitely.
So it sounds successful, and you must be very pleased. At least right now, it's off to a very good start.
Definitely off to a good start. There's a lot to do, learning every day, and just really excited about what this could mean.
How many of you're an entrepreneur, you come up with ideas. I hear about these guys that started at a young age, like Mark Cuban with stamps and everything. How many of your ideas don't work? And is that devastating? And is it costly when you get capital and it doesn't work?
Yeah, fortunately, that hasn't been the case for me. And all the businesses where I've raised any capital return more than the capital put in. So I would say that I'm willing to go to the mat and I call it sixth gear, but get into a place where you rather die than lose, and so I've come close to that point in just about every startup, but with the right amount of sort of drive and focus, I do think you're able to accomplish things you never thought that were possible. And it's certainly been the case for me. And so I've been to the brink, but I've never had a failure.
Wow.
Fortunately.
That's pretty impressive. What's the latest on Tolosa? Because I hear about that, and I think the perfect city is a small town where I used to live. It's my favorite place when I go to spend holidays there, is Carmel by the Sea. And I don't think
I know it well. I love that place.
You do? You've been up there?
Yeah,
I'm always surprised when East
times.
Coast people know Carmel by the Sea. They
Many
know Pebble
times.
Beach. Really?
Yeah.
How long you been going to Carmel?
I mean, I've probably been there 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I used to live for a period of time in Napa.
Oh, okay.
For like a year. So
right. That's right. You have a vineyard, right?
Yeah, I did. But both my daughters go to college in California as well. So
oh, cool.
A reason to go out there.
Carmel is beautiful. It's near Big Sur. It's near Pebble Beach. It's near Carmel Valley, Monterey, the sardine factory. Clint Eastwood used to be the mayor. It's a magical place. And
great fudge shop, if I remember correctly.
There's a chocolate place right there on Ocean. I don't eat that. I go to a place called L'Escargot, a French restaurant. I know the owner. A bunch of great places. But
is that the place where there's a bicycle, the restaurant, the bicycle shop or something?
Well, the one that everybody loves is called La Bicyclette, and that's on the corner. And
yeah, that's it. I think that's it.
That's the one everyone knows. I mean, everyone knows. L'Escargot, the locals know it, and it's off of Ocean about 3 blocks. It's got a snail outside, a little carved snail, and it's the best. It's the best place, and he does very well. He's a great guy. So Tolosa, is that happening, or is it just a thought right now?
No, it's definitely in the works. There's a team on it, working on architectural designs, looking at places to acquire the land. It's definitely happening. It's going to be a, multi-decade project to see it all the way through. So a lifetime project, but it wasn't really about creating a new city. It was really, creating a new model for society, or at least testing one.
Right.
One is that more equitable and more sustainable. So that was the genesis of the idea.
Can you say what state it might be in or not?
I mean, we're looking Nevada, Arizona, and Utah are the three best candidates right now.
Is there going to be property tax if I buy a house there or buy a condo there? Is there going to be property tax? I don't want to pay property tax. Yeah. I want to spend it. I want to spend that on dinners.
Yeah. The taxing system will be very similar to tax in any other city, but the very big difference is that because the land initially will be owned by the Tolosa Community Foundation, that all appreciation of the land will be given back to the citizens in the form of advanced social services, medical education. So you're having great free education, great free medical care, affordable housing. So that's the idea, is we can offer, the best, social benefits in the world without having to pay any more in taxes. That's sort of the headline.
That sounds, it sounds great. It sounds difficult. I did hear once recently, I was talking to a lawyer friend of mine, and he said, if, Gavin Newsom, they've talked about having universal health care in California. And he said, if that actually happened, everyone in the United States, every young person would move out to California. It's not sustainable. But that's a story and a discussion for another day, because I do have a lot of things I want to ask you, but I just found out prior to going on here, and I had no idea that you ran track Division I at Bucknell.
Yeah.
I didn't know you. I have to ask you the event, because my brother and I ran track when we were in junior high and high school. So what was your event?
Primary events were 100, 200, 400, long jump, javelin. Yeah.
What, a decathlon or what? Or what?
Yeah, I did the decathlon, not at Bucknell, but that was always my dream. I loved decathlon.
But you had to be fast then. If you're doing the 100, so you had speed.
I had speed. Yep. I had speed.
Did you get a scholarship on that, or just walk on there?
Yeah, they didn't give they weren't allowed to give scholarships, but yeah, it was a recruitment thing. I was New Jersey state champ at 55 meters. So,
I had no idea. I had no idea. I can't tell.
Yeah.
I don't see you moving quickly necessarily through the restaurant or at courtside. But that's no, track was such an intense thing. My brother, older brother, he was a lone valedictorian of his graduating class of 500. He's a software engineer, great guy. He had the high jump record for 25 years back in Hastings. He high jumped 6'4", and then he went down to Rice University, and I think he jumped 6'6" or 6'8" in intramural. But I found track. I wasn't very good. I tried to run the 440, and I just didn't have the endurance. And so I played basketball, and I was good, and it came easily to me. But track isn't it nerve-wracking to start? It's very nerve-wracking.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you miss it?
I do. It's funny. I got back into it a couple of years ago with the St. Jude 40-yard dash at the NFL Combine.
Yeah.
I got
that's right.
hooked into that.
With Rich Eisen, right?
Yeah. With Rich Eisen. So I've been doing that for the last few years. So that's been a reason to get back into sprinting, which I hadn't done in 25 years.
So you're a good athlete. Now, you bought the team, and I wanted to ask you, when you decide to buy a sports team, why did you choose the NBA? Was it a situation that came up and you said, this is a great opportunity? Were you thinking of other leagues or just basketball? What were you thinking?
Yeah. I mean, big sports fan growing up, childhood dream, I didn't come from, money or anything like that. So the dream of one day being an owner of a team was sort of ridiculous as a 10-year-old kid, but it was always there. And I was crazy sports fan, both playing and following it. big Stratomatic baseball guy. So I think used to play that all summer long, by the way. If you know Stratomatic baseball.
Yeah.
Talking about dating yourself, right?
Exactly.
But no, I think baseball, basketball, and football, obviously the big three. I think any one of them would have been interesting. We actually took a run at the Mets, me and A-Rod. That didn't work out. And I think when the opportunity came around with the Timberwolves and Lynx, we jumped on it. When we really started to sort of dig into the financials and compare them, to the NBA, it was a whole different ball game. Like the NBA, I think, has a lot more upside. It's global. It's more progressive. Adam Silver's doing a great job. It's more diverse. It's just, I don't know. We just fell in love with it and actually felt like it was meant to be because, now if you ask me to pick Mets or Timberwolves, Lynx, it wouldn't even be close.
Right.
But we didn't, it'd be, we didn't know that at the time.
I have to tell you, the last year was my favorite year as a Timberwolves fan. So you're a little spoiled for what you went through last year. It was a very magical season. The other one was 2004 when Kevin Garnett was the MVP, and we had the best record in the West, and then we got an injury to Sam Cassell and we lost to the Lakers. But for some reason, I just didn't expect last year to be that special. And I do want to thank you and A-Rod. I've done it before on my Instagram, and I'll do it now. Thank you for coming in there and energizing the team, making it more significant by being these owners. And I know it affects the players. I know that they know the team is now more significant, and I think it translates to wins. So I think you're doing a hell of a job. Thank you for that.
Oh, thank you.
Because I'm a Wolves fan. I am going to ask you some detailed Wolves questions, but first, you are learning how to play ball. You have a shooting coach and you're playing pickup ball. And the first thing I want to ask is this. I had a girlfriend who was a great athlete. She was 5'10". She was from Warsaw, Poland, Warszawa. She was a swimmer and she kicked my butt in tennis. And she shot the ball the wrong way. And I told her, I taught her how to shoot and hold the follow through. And I like doing that because I was a good shooter. And she made 11 free throws in a row one day. And she couldn't believe it. But it's fun to learn how to shoot. My question to you with your shooting coach is, does he tell you when you warm up to start near the basket and then move back? You start near the basket, get the touch. Sometimes you stand right under the rim and one hand and just try to swish it over the rim. Don't let it touch the rim. Does he ever say, hey, Mark? Does he say that?
Yeah, it's exactly the way it starts. Basically, hold the ball with one hand.
Oh, good.
Over the basket. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
exactly.
Cool. And I've seen your shot and it's good form. You also seem to have a good attitude because you'll say stuff on Instagram like, I played ball and I didn't make a shot, but I had a great time. I mean, you have a positive attitude. Do you get frustrated when you play ball or not?
No, I played all sports sort of growing up, but basketball wasn't one of them, given, being 5'8", was, and so I never played basketball, but I always loved the sport and watched and thought, hey, what better time than now to pick up the sport than after you buy an NBA team. So
right.
I've had a lot of fun learning something new at 50 years old. And it's a great exercise, but also it's just fun to learn how to play and shoot. So I'll continue to do it. And as long as my knees, let me.
Yeah. So. Well, I would also say, I don't know, do you play 2-on-2 or 3-on-3 half court? Do you play 5-on-5 or do you mix it up?
Mix it up. A lot of time I'm just out there just shooting and dribbling and doing drills. But when I played, this weekend, it was 5-on-5.
Yeah. 5-on-5 is sometimes tough because you don't always see the ball. A lot of times, depending upon who's playing, it's 10 perimeter players. It's 5 guys on one side. There are no big men, which balances the court. When you have a guy underneath, you could throw it into him. But sometimes you have 10 guards playing and they're all shooting 3-pointers and it's kind of a waste of time. But I always say play 2-on-2 and 3-on-3. You work on your individual one-on-one moves and all that. And then when you get in 5-on-5, it's more enjoyable. Do you ever get frustrated with the 5-on-5?
No, I really enjoy passing, and you know, so I think it's fun. Just trying to find that open person and watch them cut and drive to the hoop and dish it off, and like it's just I find that fun. It's not like I was younger and I was like the star of my high school basketball team doing all the shooting, so I feel like I'm missing that. Like
Right.
I feel like that in track. So when I'm racing, at 50, and I'm like, oh man, like so much slower than I was, and I feel slow and I feel bad about it. Basketball is the best I've ever played because I never played, so
Right.
it's sort of just fun.
It also is, to me, it's a heck of a cardiovascular. It's really a good sweat.
Yeah.
I mean, I could, like, to run track or to run cross country, I couldn't. It was just boring. I couldn't do it. I could play basketball all day when I was growing up, all day long. And then you sit under the tree and you have a Gatorade or a juice, and it's the greatest rush. I mean, do you notice a difference when you play full court and then you afterwards? It's euphoria. It's a great feeling.
Absolutely. I can't wait to get back out there as soon as I'm done. I mean, we used to have that same feeling with, we used to take a wiffle ball bat, and we used to cut off the top, stuff it with magazines, and put electrical tape around it, and use it with a tennis ball. And that was the game for us. We'd play every single day until the sun went down and you couldn't see the ball anymore.
Right. My parents always said, when you work, if you play sports, it keeps you out of trouble. It keeps you out of trouble when you play sports. So let me ask you about the Timberwolves. I want to compliment you again because I know Marc Cuban. He's one of my favorite people. I used to interview him years ago. He's a great guy. He's always been nice to me, and he has a personality, but he also, I don't know if you were following the NBA back in the early 2000s, but he used to get in trouble with the league. He'd get fined all the time. He went after the refs. So, and David Stern made a lot of money off of Marc Cuban. No, he fined him a lot. But I'm a fan of temperament. So my brother is a little bit like Spock. He doesn't have a lot of emotion. They say Barack Obama is a little Spock-like. You come across, and I don't know you that well, but you seem to not have a temper. So is that true that you don't have a temper, first of all, or do you get upset?
That's definitely true. I do not have a temper. I don't get like heated like that. I like to think it's, positive energy, and I get really excited, and I'll, be like a fan out there, rooting for guys. But, it is what it is. Ref makes a bad call and they review it. It is what it is. It's kind of, that's kind of stuff doesn't get me riled up. I kind of just feel like you win some, you lose some, and it's just part of the game. And to stay positive and, try to get at the end of the day, it's kind of like running a startup, try to find the very best people that are a good cultural fit and create an environment where you get the very best that they've got to give. And if you do that, it's up to the what people are capable of delivering at the end.
So when you're playing pickup, has anyone elbowed you yet?
Oh yeah.
Has anyone tried to mess with you and you don't get mad or not?
No, I mean, it hasn't happened. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it would be very, very hard.
Well,
I mean,
the
thing that would get me, would get me is if somebody, purposely, was coming after you. I mean, that is different. Right. That's why in sports, being on the sidelines or something, it's hard to get that level of anger because there's nothing directed maliciously at you personally, So
right. Well, I would get mad. Like I say I don't have a temper either, but I'll get, if I'm watching on television, no one's around. Like when Joel Embiid used to get physical with Kat, and they got in a fight a couple of years ago, and they got tossed. Embiid, he's big and he likes to muscle people, and Kat is so gifted and talented and skilled, and so it bothered me, and I'd get upset. But on a slightly different subject, do you find the game stressful? Because speaking of Philly, last year, I know you were at that Philadelphia game, and it was a double overtime win for the Wolves. Cat fouled out, but it was a roller coaster of a game, back and forth.
Yeah.
And D'Lo he was hitting like 35. Is it stressful for you, and is it a little ridiculous? Like when I watch a game, I can turn it off if it's too stressful. But when you do,
yeah, I mean, I definitely feel that. That game in particular, I remember that game really well, and the ups and downs were like unreal. Like it is. Your heart's rate at the end of that game. I was exhausted. I just wanted to go to bed, like just literally right there in the suite, go to sleep.
Right.
Because it takes an enormous amount of energy, but it's part of the fun. It's like, I guess, similar to being on a roller coaster. You know, it's like, it's scary and everything. And you're in the middle of it, you're screaming, but then at the end you're like, let's do it again. So
right.
I think it's very similar.
Well, Jerry West said when he was the GM of the Lakers, he would watch from the corridors, the hallway there, and he got too nervous during the game. But you're not at that point where you want to go in the back and just kind of check the score and stuff. You're in the front row watching at Wolves games, and it's not too stressful yet, but it's rough,
I don't think it'll ever be. It's all, I guess the stress it's not a word I would use. It's it's excitement. And like I said, it's just excitement. And maybe I'm a little bit too analytical about this stuff, but it's like I'm much more focused in thinking about the inputs on a lot of this stuff and thinking about, do you have the right organization, the right front office, the right coaches?
Right.
Do you have the right players? Are they a good fit? Are they giving it their all? Are they in good shape? Are they doing the things they need to do to win? Like all the inputs. And if I feel really good about that, then I can feel good, not good, but I mean, like, take it, like what I have a trouble with is if, somebody doesn't put in the effort, or they do something that, is selfish or something, like those things will get under my skin more than the actual game itself. Like if it's just up and down, back and forth, like that's just, a lot of it comes down to luck. When you get to the last few minutes of the game, a couple threes go in or don't go in, decides whether you win or lose. Like I get that. And like, you can't win every game. And so it's just kind of some of that stuff, is what it is.
Right. What is tell me, I'm a Chris Finch fan. A lot of people are. You guys gave him an extension. How did you get to know him, and how well do you know him? Like, so last year was your first year. Did you sit down with him and just talk to him and get to know him?
Absolutely. Yeah. I've gone to dinner multiple times, talked to him in the locker room after, before. Yeah. All the time. Yeah.
Yeah.
On the phone even. I mean, I think he's a great coach. And I think he's going to be the difference maker this year.
Yeah.
Really,
he's got pressure on him. I mean, but it's because now that there was success last year, there's more pressure this year. And of course that's what you want, because hopefully, it's a winning team. It's a playoff team. When you vent now, or when you want to talk to somebody, you now have a new president, Tim Connolly. Seems like a great guy, knowledgeable. When you want to talk to somebody, do you just call him and say, Tim, what's going on, or I'm frustrated, or what happened there? Is that the guy? Because you don't want to bother Finchy during the season too much, right?
Yeah. It's primarily Tim. Alex and I'll jump on the phone with him or stuff. I mean, again, I think Alex and I are both very similar this way, where we're not, going to overreact. We're not going to jump on the coach or Tim, because, lost X number of games in a row, or you know what I mean? Again, we're focused on the input. So if people are, working hard, and people are giving it their all, like that's a huge piece of it. Like, I think we'd really, both of us would get, really upset if like people were sort of, just mailing it in. That would not be good, but it's hard, like, cause you don't want to overcorrect either. Like a lot of it is also, just things you go in winning streaks, losing streaks, like you can't overreact. I think the overreaction causes the culture to break down. There's blame game. People feel a certain way. Then they're most selfish with the ball. They feel like they got to do more. It's like, no, when I never forget when I learned how to fly a plane, like it was always in the early stages, like you always want to overcorrect. You're going up a little bit. So you push the yoke forward, and then now you're going down too much. Then you pull up, and then you're going up too much and down. And one of the things they teach you is just don't overcorrect, like just small corrections. And I think the same applies with the team. You don't want people, you want continuity, you want good culture, you want everyone to have a good attitude and feel great. And so we need to be more of a stabilizing force instead of like when things go bad, pile on, as opposed to things go bad, try and pull people back, see the big picture. We're healthy. We've got a great team. We've got a great front office and coaching staff. Like, yeah, we've had a few bad games, but like we're going to get on a winning streak. Just stick to the plan, give it your all, show up every day, and things are going to turn. And I think that positive energy is contagious. I really believe in that. I see it happen, in startup life, and I don't see why it would be any different with the team.
I learned today that you were a sprinter at Bucknell, and now I learned that you can fly a plane. What's more pressure, flying a plane or hitting that winning shot in a pickup game? If they swing it to Lore on the right side, 3-pointer, what's harder to do? Hit the game winner, or fly a plane?
I would say hit the winner.
I think at this
that's probably
point,
the hardest among anything.
Right. That's. I do have to ask you about the details of the Rudy Gobert trade. How did that come about? Who approached you? Tim Connolly says, this is what we're thinking. What do you think of this? They floated by you. And how many conversations did you have?
First of all, we had conversations before, with Glenn, Alex, Tim, about, is now the right time? We've got a really strong young core. We've won 46 games. Like, is it time to go out and try and bring in an all-star and really like take it to the next level? And I think, everyone was on board with that. The harder part was, who's available and who could you realistically get? When Tim approached us with the opportunity, it was one of those, it's seemingly no-brainers when Alex and I found out about it. And we didn't need much time at all to talk about it and realize that was a great trade to make. I think, just being, an analytics guy too, just knowing his impact on winning at Utah over the last 4 years. He definitely filled some of the holes that we were missing from the year before. And we weren't giving up any superstars in that trade. And so like, it just felt like the right time. It felt like the right player. He was a great cultural fit. So it wasn't that hard of a decision, honestly.
Some of the local Utah reporters said the Minnesota fans are going to fall in love with this guy when they see him day in and day out. And when we saw his first game with the Wolves, he was altering shots. He grabbed all the rebounds that he scored around the hoop, but he was affecting shots and altering shots. And I can see why Utah had such a great record for the last few years. And I just think it'll take a little time with chemistry with the whole team.
Agreed.
But it happened last year. It was a 4-9 start, and the offense was a little clunky, and then it got going. So
I have no doubt we're going to get going. We just have to make sure we don't overcorrect, or we just stay the course and just keep looking for small ways to improve and let them compound as opposed to making big changes. I think the players will start to get more comfortable with each other as each game goes by.
Right.
Okay. I know you're a busy man. Let me see. I have two more things. Do you remember at dinner, the top 5 movies you listed? Because I don't remember. Is that too difficult for you to do? Can you list your 5 all-time movies?
I can definitely lift a few. Let me see. My all-time is top 3 would be The Natural, Prefontaine, and The Notebook.
Oh,
those would be my 3 favorite.
The Natural was great. I apologize. I haven't seen The Notebook. I watch a lot of old Alfred Hitchcock movies, but I'll watch that. I was a fan of Steve Prefontaine. Were there 2 movies made or 1 movie made?
There's 2 movies. One was, I think, Without Limits, and the other one is just called Steve Prefontaine. They're both like similar stories, obviously, but definitely, if you like one, then might as well watch the other one too, because there's some differences.
Were you a fan of his, or is he before your time?
He was before my time, but I just loved the story and the grit, and the Natural was great. I'm trying to think of other movies. I like obviously Goodfellas was a great movie. Love
Very
that.
Entertaining.
That's a classic. Shawshank Redemption.
People love it. People love it.
I love when I was younger. I liked Rain Man.
That's a great one. One. It's so funny because I'm a couple years older than you, and track and field was a huge deal in the 70s when I was growing up. Even though I was addicted to basketball, we watched this stuff with all these different guys. The marathon at the Olympics was a big deal, and the sprinters and the hurdles. And Prefontaine came along, and it was like Pistol Pete Maravich, man. He was so different. He had the hair, and he was stylish, and it was really, he was a renegade. And yeah, that guy, and he has a cool name too. I mean, Prefontaine. I'm going to check that out. Okay. Finally, we're going to wrap it up with something called the Life Gorgeous Quiz. These are simple questions, but profound insights.
Okay.
First concert for Marc Lore. First
concert was, actually I do remember, Allman Brothers.
Oh yeah. That's great.
The Allman Brothers. Yeah. It was, I remember it was in New Jersey at the Garden State Arts Center.
Oh, how old were you?
In high school. Like freshman, maybe like 14 or something like that.
It's so funny. There's a bunch of cool coastal cities in California. Besides Carmel, there's a bunch. Carpinteria, and then there's one, Morro Bay, up near Pismo and everything. And I was there a few months ago, and I went to this local bar and had a martini, and the locals were telling me about it. They go, yeah, there's live music here. The Allman Brothers have played here. And it's like, it's just funny that they played in these small venues, and people love the music, and it's so cool. All right. So, this is a tough one for people. I want to see favorite Italian dish. Oh, easy. I'm 100% Italian. Nothing even close. It's my favorite, not only Italian dish, my favorite food by far. It's calamari fra diavolo, or galamad. So what is that besides calamari? What is it? How is it presented?
Yeah, it's basically sautéed in a spicy tomato sauce. Basically.
Okay, I've had that.
Not fried, just sautéed in a spicy tomato sauce. That's my favorite. Yeah,
that is great. I love that. How many hours of sleep does someone like you get? I'm always fascinated with these. I don't know if you're a workaholic or not. Maybe not. But
no, I am. I would say workaholic, but I'm able to, I sleep at least 8 hours every day. Like I just will not sleep less than 8, usually, even 8.5, but I will, the other 16 hours of the day, nonstop. Like I can go and work as hard as if it's like early in the morning up until midnight, and then go to bed and wake up at 8 and then do it all over again. So that's my fuel and my energy, is eating healthy, and sleeping 8 hours.
I also know you're a big smoker, but is that true that you're a big smoker?
No.
Cigars?
Smoking, no.
No, okay.
No, I've never actually, this is funny, but I've never actually tried a cigarette in my life.
Good for you.
Or any kind of smoker. I mean, cigar.
Good for you. Clean cut. And you drink a little wine, and that's about it.
I love wine. I love wine.
Yes.
Yeah.
But
love wine.
How do you, when you get 8 hours, which is admirable, and that's what we're supposed to get, do you ever need sleep aids, or do you go straight through? Straight to bed. No, nothing. Just, I think the key is just, I've just learned this over time, because I wasn't always this way, but it's going to bed at the same time, not eating or drinking within a few hours of bedtime,
and having a really dark, cool room. Like if you got to get all the things right, but if you get all that lined up, man, I get in that dark chamber and bedroom and just conk out.
Well, I wear a sleep mask a lot of times. I love it dark, and I go to bed at 9 p.m., sometimes even earlier. But my creative mind doesn't always shut down. I'm replaying the Wolves or the Vikings. They're 6-1, or I watched a movie that I enjoy, blah, blah, blah. But you go to bed at midnight? Is that what you said?
Yeah, basically like 12 to 8, I would say. That's pretty much, or it's like 11:45 to 7:45, something like that. Yeah.
You drink coffee?
Short window. Never had coffee in my life.
Interesting. You're very disciplined. It's
not really. The funny thing is, I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm not disciplined. I'm not type A. I'm not regimented in any way, other than I've never tried.
But you don't have any vice. You don't gamble, do you? You don't have to answer this.
No, I love to gamble. Like if you're talking like, going to the horse track. I grew up, my uncles and grandparents were addicted to the track and used to take me as a little kid. So I was kind of like, 10 years old, 8 years old, 12 years old, going to the track. So I still like that. Enjoy doing that with my dad and uncle and stuff and friends. Love playing blackjack.
Oh,
so yeah. I mean, I'm not like super clean cut. I like to
I got one. I bet you don't do, and I don't do it either. But some of these former athletes, they need the competition, and they golf and they bet on every hole. And like they say, Jerry West goes to Riviera and $1,000 a hole. But you don't golf, do you? I'm guessing you don't golf.
No, I golf.
Really?
I just don't have any time to golf. But like when I was a kid, I golfed all the time. Now I golf once a year.
Okay. That means you're handy. That means you're probably not. You have to play all the time to stay in the groove, right?
Yeah, I mean, when I'll go, it'll be like quarter of the holes will be great, the other 3/4 will be not great.
Right. And finally, Marc, you're spending a lot of time in Minnesota. Are you surprised that you've fallen in love with the great state of Minnesota and the Twin Cities?
I am not surprised at all. I've always, had known people from Minnesota and from the Midwest and things, and always felt like they were my people, like I just, in terms of culture, values, what they stood for. And it's been that way, with every person I met in Minnesota. I really do like the people there and like what they stand for. And I'm sold, I'm hooked,
Yeah. It's a special place. The people are very nice. I moved there when I was 4 years old from New Jersey. My dad was born in Queens, and then he went to Teaneck in New Jersey and Rutgers, and he took a transfer, and it's a hockey state. My dad wanted me to play baseball, but he put a hoop up in second grade, and he taught me how to make a layup, and it's just the game. I was tall and coordinated, which doesn't always happen, and I fell in love with basketball. And the Wolves are my team, man, and I love them.
Oh, that's awesome. We're gonna do you proud. We're gonna do everything we can to bring a championship to Minnesota.
Well, even my friend who's Dan Barrero, he does radio, he dominates in Minneapolis, and he's usually kind of cynical. He said to me, "They're going to be good for at least the next 5 years." I mean, so it's a special time, and you're doing a hell of a job, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, I think one of the things we're really focused on is how sustainable winning. Like, how do we build a culture and a system that can win over many years, not just a couple of years and then back to the cellar. So that's something we're really focused on. Yeah.
And the other thing, and not to laugh, but you've got these two major markets, the Lakers and the Knicks, and it's just hard. It's hard to believe because people, I mean, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, he was Lou Alcindor, he was Kareem Abdul-Jabbar at Milwaukee. He wanted to go there. Shaq goes there. LeBron goes there. And it's hard. The Lakers were the team of the 80s, and the Knicks were great in the early 70s. But it is hard. But we don't have to worry about that right now because we have a good roster for a few years. So, but yeah, hitting the cellar, that's a bummer. The Wolves have done that. That's why they have Ant and Cat. They had two first picks in the draft because they were in the cellar. Really appreciate you taking the time, Marc.
Yeah, thanks. It was great to be on the podcast, and hope to see you at the game soon.
I will see you soon at one of the Wolves games. Thank you, sir.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Thank you. Okay, it's time for the very popular fan questions. Keep those questions coming. Go to YouTube and leave a voicemail. Ask me a question. I'm always here to help. Here is the first question.
Hey, Greg. Greg here. Love the podcast. Big fan of the Instagram. I actually go way back with you. I was at a taping of the old late night show in February 2002. Carmen Electra, Roy Jones Jr., with a cameo from Dave Navarro during Yambo. I got to see the natural host in his natural environment. Saw Dave Navarro before the show in the hallway, said, "Hey, Dave," and he didn't say anything back to me. So I was curious, who is your favorite Baywatch star? Who is your favorite boxer? Who's your favorite Red Hot Chili Pepper? Thanks, Craig.
Boxer Muhammad Ali. I watched him when I was growing up. The greatest of all time. Very entertaining. Great interviews with Howard Cosell. I'm not a big boxing fan. I never watched Baywatch. I interviewed Pam Anderson and Carmen Electra. They're both wonderful. Those are my favorites. Apologies to Hasselhoff. I don't listen to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. I like chili rellenos. Those are stuffed peppers, deep fried, and they're delightful. Next question.
Hey, Greg, something like 1 billion years ago, I was speaking to a gentleman who was a stage actor, and he said something to me that really has stayed with me, and it was that I found it interesting. He felt from his point of view that there were a number of actors out there that had the talent and the skill, even people like Dustin Hoffman or Robert Duvall, but who had never quite got the right break or the right role to bring them to prominence. And so that makes me want to ask you, I've always, Craig, loved, and really highly respected your comedic talent. And it makes me want to ask you, across your lifetime, if you could name maybe a few people that you saw that you feel like, gee, that person really had a tremendous comedic mind, a brilliant comedic mind, but for whatever reason never came to worldwide prominence. Thanks, Greg. Bye.
I've heard this question before. I don't really analyze the breaks that people get and the luck that people get. And some people love to overanalyze that. I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer it. I'm taking it in a slightly different direction. There are people that speak to me, and I don't care how popular they are, they speak to me. So you've got these movie stars. There are people on television that I am more impressed with than certain movie stars and action stars. James Spader, Titus Welliver from Bosch. Those guys are great. So I'm taking the question into an area that I want to say is I don't care about, I'm not going to name the action star in the movies, but I prefer watching Titus and James Spader on the small screen than some of these other actors. That's how I answered it. It's kind of fun. Next question.
Hi, Gregors. First-time caller, but long-time liver of the Life Gorgeous. I had a question for you. What does Lord Kilby do when he comes across a wine pairing or even a cocktail pairing while out living the Life Gorgeous? I know you generally will stick to your martinis or red wine, but do you ever splurge and go for a pairing? For me, I'm giving that the green light. It's a no-brainer for me. Well, I'd love to hear from you, Lord Kilby. Hope I'm making you proud. Thank you.
Good question. I've done wine pairing. I think young people do a lot of wine pairing. I will occasionally do it, but usually I pass. I have my red wine. I only have a martini before dinner. I don't have it with dinner. I have red wine with dinner. Usually it's a nice bottle. So to answer your question, wine pairing is definitely fun. I've done it before. I'll probably do it again, but oftentimes I don't. I just have the one or two glasses that I have or the bottle that I have with the people I'm with. So I rarely do wine pairing anymore, but I have done it in the past, and it's enjoyable. Our final question is from Instagram. Craig, love when you recommend movies to watch that aren't in your top 5. These are movies you like to watch over and over again. You say that they're kind of rated around in the low 7, 7.1, 7.2, 7.4 on IMDb. Can you recommend another movie, Craig? That was a long That was an Instagram. I was paraphrasing. I always say The Firm. I say No Way Out. I sometimes say 3 Days of the Condor, Robert Redford from the 70s. I also love Clint in The Line of Fire. Here's one that's rated 7.8. Great movie. I just watched it last night. Harrison Ford, The Fugitive. Very enjoyable to watch over and over again. You don't want to spoil the top 5, The Graduate. You don't want to watch that over and over again. You want to watch The Fugitive over and over again. That's our show. Thanks for the questions. We'll see you next time. And remember, young people, I'm proud of you.